Greetings and welcome back to this next installment of Bible Topics that make you say, "Woo." And I'm Robin Sweet Ransom. And what do I have in store for you today? I'm glad you asked. Say, do you know how to build a house that withstands disaster, even fires, flooding, earthquakes? Well, let's get into it. And first, we're going to tap into some tools that two contractors mention on what you can do to build your home more safely. They say, number one, choose a suitable site and prepare for construction. Use innovative building materials. Three, consider the architectural design. Four, inspect the structural integrity. And five, be prepared for emergencies and have proper insurance and documentation. That insurance is a serious thing because here in California, insurance companies are pulling out of California left and right and dropping people's coverage because of all of the wildfires. And then in Florida, they're dropping people's coverage because of the hurricanes. So what do you do? Well, you do your very best to make sure that you're building in a place that may not be prone to those natural disasters such as flooding and wildfires, right? And then for those who are having to rebuild their homes in California, no doubt they're going to look into more fire resistant materials to help them. But you know what? This is not a contractor channel. This is a Bible channel. So, we're not talking about literal house building. Let's get into what Jesus talked about because he was the master contractor. Remember, he was a carpenter. He says in Matthew 7:24 through 27, therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who did what? Who built his house on the rock. The rain fell, the rivers rose, and the winds blew and pounded that house. Yet it didn't collapse because its foundation was on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and doesn't act on them will be like a foolish man who built his house on what? The sand. The rain fell, the rivers rose, the winds blew and pounded that house, and it collapsed. And this collapse was great. So, literally, the person building a house should build it on a solid foundation, such as rock foundation, and definitely not sand, because what Jesus described will happen. But more than your physical home, Jesus is concerned with your spiritual home. What are you building your house on? And are you building your house on something that will withstand disaster? Well, if you're building it on Jesus, then it will withstand disaster because Jesus is a surefire foundation. So, how do we build our house on Jesus? We draw close to him so that we can experience his peace. We seek his direction, we listen to him, and we trust him. Why? Because he knows how to help us to survive and even prevent disaster, both in real life, like with our own home, giving us wisdom on what to do, how to build, but more importantly, in our spiritual home. We want to focus on what matters most because that will bring true satisfaction. But you know what? We recognize that trouble is a part of life. And we can't lose everything, even if we are living unto Christ. But we have to remember that this life is temporal. But what he's offering us in the future is eternal. So ultimately, Christ will give us what is best so that we will live in peace with him. Listen to him so that we can be like this rock built upon him and not be washed away. All righty, then I like this quote. I'd rather go through the storm with Jesus than sail through life without him. Don't you? Let's go to Isaiah 43:2, where it says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. All right. And you can have this foundation if you accept Jesus's invitation at Romans 10:9 and 13. If you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord will be saved. Accept Jesus and build your house on a foundation that will withstand disaster. All right, join me next time on Bible Topics that makes you say,